All right, in this video, I just want to go over some last minute things about PTR before the patch comes out. For those who aren't aware, it comes out tomorrow. So not that we're going to be playing with our new tier set tomorrow, but the new patch drops. The talent rework is implemented into the game, so talent builds will be in my Discord later today. Actually, pretty much after this video, I'm going to go work on those. So talent builds will be available for the different Shado-Pan and Master of Harmony builds as well as a PTA build. So keep an eye out for those. Anyways, I do want to talk about a couple of things that are still problematic on the PTR that have me concerned for the next patch, hoping that Blizzard can get these fixed soon. I have submitted several bug reports to try to get these things fixed, so hopefully soon. Now, one thing I saw yesterday, and this is the first thing I really want to talk about, is that Blizzard finally pushed a fix to our 2-set bonus as Shado-Pan. Each of the different hero talents will have their own tier set bonuses interacting off of the hero talent tree. So if you're playing Master of Harmony, your 2-set bonus and 4-set bonus is different than Shado-Pan monks. In an ideal world, they'll be fairly balanced in the case where you can play either one. One is looking a little bit more competitive than the other. Now, Shado-Pan for the last month basically hasn't had a 2-set bonus, because the thing that happens with the 2-set for Shado-Pan is when you use Weapons of Order, you basically will proc Flurry Strikes at 70% effectiveness. At least that's how it should work. So when we think 70% effectiveness, you should think, at least this is what I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, is that it should be doing 70% of normal damage, right? Now, this wasn't triggering at all, and Blizzard pushed a fix very recently, I think yesterday, where it has fixed that. So now it's proccing again, which is good because it's instant on-demand burst damage, it's instant main stat with the against all odds talent, and it's also a Wisdom of the Wall buff, which if it procs Shadow damage, for example, your Weapons of Order window is going to be absolutely insane. You're going to be doing, if with enough mobs, you're going to be doing like 10 to 15 to even 20 mil damage. For pretty much the duration of your cooldown. Now, that wasn't working until yesterday, but the problem is that it's still not proccing at 70%, it's proccing at full value, meaning that it's doing 100% of the normal damage of Flurry Strikes, which is how it used to work when they first introduced these tier sets, and they later nerfed them. The nerf broke it, and now that they fixed it, it's back to the original state, but the tooltip is still in the nerfed version. So assuming that Blizzard will eventually get this right, this proc will be doing 30% less damage. That's fine. But I want to kind of show you the reasoning why I believe it's dealing 100% damage instead of 30. So the idea here is I'm going to try to just proc Flurry Strikes independent of having any major main stat buffs. And we're going to see what the value of Flurry Strikes looks like. So right now I don't have much on me. I do have a crit buff, but that shouldn't really matter as much. I do have Vigilant Watch active, but this is going to happen whenever we blackout kick. And our values looking at a normal hit is about 120k, between 119 and 122. So let's just call it 120k. Now, if all of these buffs get removed and we like get rid of our Wisdom of the Wall Mastery buff, this Paramending is kind of annoying me. I'm going to now do the same thing, but using the Weapons of Order proc instead of the actual energy proc. I do also have a Verse Flask on, but they're going to be available for both, so it's fine. But if I come over here and I pop Weapons of Order, my next attack should trigger Flurry Strikes. There it is. And it's doing 128k, 130k, 130k. Obviously, it kind of ramps up with against all odds and stuff. Also, Wisdom of the Wall procking there. But basically, it's doing the same amount, if not a little bit more, than our regular Flurry Strikes is doing. And so that's the problem I'm having with it, is that currently it's overperforming. That's kind of the biggest thing to take away from this. Now, the 4-set bonus, and I'm going to be able to show this in a second once I get Weapons of Order back. The 4-set bonus, unless there's a cooldown reset here. Is there a cooldown reset, lady? No? Okay. So the 4-set bonus reads your Flurry Charge generation increased by 50%. Flurry Strikes triggers every 150 energy instead of 240. Now, if you're someone who's familiar with Shado-Pan, you probably know what this means. Just in case you're not, the idea and the gameplay loop with Shado-Pan is that you deal damage to gain charges of Flurry Strikes, and this caps at 10. And then whenever you spend 240 energy, when you hit that kind of ceiling, it'll dump all of your stored up charges. It should be 10 because it's capped at 10. And it'll deal 140k damage per charge. So you do 140k damage 10 times to all mobs in front of you, which is very, very strong. And that's the gameplay loop. Basically, build up to 240 energy, and then you proc it. There's obviously a gameplay loop where you play around Wisdom of the Wall buffs, which also have some interesting interactions later. So the idea is that when you are in your weapons of order window, it should proc every 150, but instead it's procking every 120. And you might think, well, 30 is not that big of a difference. But the thing is, there's like this weird compounding effect where to get it to proc twice now, it's 240 instead of 300. And then to get it proc it 3 times, it's 360 instead of 540 or whatever, 450. Holy cow, can't math. And so the idea is that with the current state of the tier set working the way it does, is that you're getting or you're gaining an extra wisdom of the wall buff and an extra set of flurry strikes. And the reason this is problematic, and this is just from my like, maybe I'm not doing Brewmaster a service by trying to get this nerfed, because that's essentially what I'm doing. But basically, you're going to get a significant amount of damage because a lot of your damage is baked into this cooldown window. And so when you're getting an extra set of flurry strikes and an extra wisdom of the wall buff over the course of a pull and over the course of an entire key every single time, the compounding effect means that Brewmaster Shado-Pan currently is overperforming. Now, the concern I have is that if they don't nerf these, they're going to nerf something else about us. And if they don't nerf our tier set and they nerf our like core class, Master of Harmony will also be affected. And I think Master of Harmony is in a very good spot right now. And I think Shado-Pan is going to overperform because of these bugs. So if I come into combat here, and let's just get to, I'm going to just proc Flurry Strikes, actually. And you know what? I'm going to come over to, the visuals here might be terrible because of all of the different animations. Also, sorry if you hear my keyboard clicking in the background. But, so I just gained a shadow buff. So now I'm going to pop weapons. And now my goal is to proc as much Flurry Strikes as possible. So I just did one there. There's another. Or I should say at the start. And so now I'm back at 80 again. And now I'm going to just spinning crane kick. And now I'm going to just tiger palm after a blackout combo. And now I've done it 3 times. I still have 10 seconds left, so I should be able to get a 4th out. And if I really like, if I was taking more damage and I had the ability to like, spend a little bit more energy, I should have been able to get one more proc there. I'm just not optimizing. But the problem is now Flurry Strikes is doing an insane amount of damage overall. And my concern is that Blizzard's going to be like, oh, well, we technically nerfed the tier set, but they didn't actually. So they're going to be like, we're going to nerf Keg Smash damage by 10% or 20% or whatever. Obviously, this might sound like a crazy concern, but it is a thing that we've seen in the past where Blizzard gives us a powerful tier set and then they nerf our class because of it. And it has this like trickle down effect. It either will now affect the other hero talent, which doesn't benefit from Flurry Strikes, obviously, or it's going to hurt us down the road after the tier is over because they're going to have to like do a bunch of rebalancing and tuning, which they sometimes forget to do. Hence why Keg Smash hits like a wet noodle. So yeah, that is why the tier set is not fixed. It is overperforming. It's doing way more damage than it should be because of the ability to get an extra set of Flurry Strikes, if not an extra, inside of that window. In its current state, Shado-Pan will probably be better, but assuming that the nerfs go through, I think Master of Harmony might take the cake this season. Master of Harmony single target and AoE is looking really, really good. There's also been a pretty popular no breath build that's been going around. I made a video about it, talking about it. A lot of different streamers, content creators, Brewmaster testers are and have been playing with it, and it's been fairly successful. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like playing it. But I will say that Breath of Fire is still relevant for Shado-Pan players, at least it seems that way. And when that's the case, you can always play Shado-Pan if you really want to play with Breath of Fire. But basically, the Master of Harmony playstyle is pretty rewarding. I've been a big fan of it since pretty much they introduced it. The idea is that you just essentially will cast Celestial Brew or Celestial Infusion as often as possible. And then your goal is to Tiger Palm. And with that kind of cadence, you're going to try to spend a lot more damage on like fillers and stuff. There is a complaint where in large AoE pulls, there's this huge diminishing value of Tiger Palm because the cleave damage that it provides is so bad because it splits damage among all enemies. But as you can see here in 2 target, your Harmonic Surge is doing kind of crazy damage. And because of that, this could be a season where instead of seeing Master of Harmony only really being played in Mythic Plus, we might even see it in Raid. There is a very interesting build when it comes to Master of Harmony where you're able to get a lot of Celestial Brews in a specific window for burst damage or just having higher sustain. So I like Master of Harmony a lot. I think they could nerf Harmonic Surge by a little bit. I wish they did a thing where it would deal more damage based on the amount of targets it hits. They do something very similar with like this trinket, for example. Damage increased by 30% per additional enemy up to 150. They could nerf Harmonic Surge damage by like almost like 50%, but they can make it deal more damage to cleave targets, kind of incentivizing it to be better in Mythic Plus specifically. But I think Master of Harmony is looking really good. I haven't found too many issues with it outside of the fact that I think it does a little bit too much damage. When you compare it to Shado-Pan currently, it's like fine, but the problem is that Shado-Pan's overperforming. So then I think Master of Harmony might be overperforming, specifically in single target encounters. So yeah. The last thing I've talked about in a previous video, I just don't think I'll have the time to really go over it in depth, is that I have been playing a couple of PTA, like a PTA version of Master of Harmony. I don't think PTA, Press the Advantage, is going to work with Shado-Pan, just based on the fact that you need to hit Weapons of Order to proc the tier set. So if you enjoy Press the Advantage, you kind of need to or have to play Master of Harmony. But this build is also really fun because you don't only play Rushing Jade Wind, but you also play Breath. And it's kind of like a non-energy build where the only thing you're really spending energy on is literally Keg Smash and maybe spinning Crane Kick if you need to. This build is a lot of fun as well. The problem, the biggest problem I see with this build is specifically it comes to munching your Harmonic Surge damage. And so the way that this works is that your PTA is going to stack up to 10. When you hit 10, your next Keg Smash or Rising Sun Kick should dump your stacks, and it'll dump your potential energy, which is great. But the major problem with this is that if you will most likely go over 6 stacks before you hit 10 stacks of PTA, meaning that right now, like I'm at 6, I could Black X Brew again and like get more. But when you do dump this, it's going to be hitting for like, it's going to hit for a lot. It's dumping all the stacks at the same time. This was a bug that was fixed a while ago because I think when they originally pushed it, it wasn't doing that. So if you are exactly at 6 stacks, it actually provides you with a ton of burst damage. But yeah, it's pretty good. So what's really cool about this next season is that there's like 3 decent-ish builds that are looking like are going to come from the Brewmaster. You can play Shado-Pan competitively, you can play Master of Harmony competitively, and if you're a Press the Advantage enjoyer, you're not going to be too far behind. So keep an eye out in my Discord for all those builds. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update now that the patch is literally 1 day away. Hopefully Blizzard fixes the Shado-Pan stuff soon so we get a more accurate representation of the amount of damage that they're going to be able to deal. But if it stays in its current state, I would definitely think that its damage is going to be a little bit busted. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little breakdown. I have boss guides coming out. I have my Brewmaster Masterclass episode 4 coming out also very soon, talking about cooldown usages. And that's, yeah, I have other stuff too, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.